Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we are looking at a copy of Pog the Game. Officially licensed product, the World of Pog Federation. Put out by Milton Bradley. This was a very flash-in-the-pan fad back in the 90s. A lot of people got burned investing heavily in it, thinking it's going to be the next big thing. And it really petered out real quick. Which is kind of surprising how fast this fad died. But this came out in 1994. It's for ages 8 and up. And you could pretty much play as many people as you want, I think. I found this copy at a thrift store, and it appears to be at least mostly complete. Let's open it up, see what we got here. So it's a little bit of a mess in here, but there's no real good way to organize this. So we got our rule book, which we'll look at here in a second. We got 2 containers, same size, a purple one and a black one. They've got the official Pog logo on top. And you get a whole bunch of discs. I think there's some extra ones in here that kind of don't match with the genericness of the theme. So a lot of them that came in the box had the back labeled Pog. And we'll take a closer look at some of these in a minute. Now also what we have in here is the little stand thing here. You can put all these in here. And that's kind of the point of having this, is to have all your Pogs there, and then you can play on here. And this is kind of a bouncy surface to play on. And you'd get a couple of these for your heavies, and then you can get ones additionally, like this one's just a piece of metal with a design on it. And this probably went for $5 by itself, because they were scamming people like crazy on these things. But they were fairly expensive. To get some of the official type stuff, like they had licensed ones, like here's an Animaniacs one. I'll zoom in and show you the different types of Pogs, but here's the back of the box. Now inside you'd get your tournament game board, which is this. The game pad, which is this black piece here. Sometimes it's purple. You'd get 48 authentic WPF designer Pog milk caps, which would have all had the Pog logo on the back and usually on the front. So there's a lot of extras here. There's 4 official tournament keenies, which are these things here. An official collector sheet and the official guidebook. I am missing the collector sheet, but we do have the travel containers and the Pogs themselves. So let's take a look at the rule book, then we'll look at the Pogs. Let me just zoom in and we'll get a good look at these. This is actually a really nice quality board, by the way. That's actually really good plastic. 94, they really didn't cheap out for some reason on here, but the pad is basically just a mouse pad that goes on the center, and it says Pog on here all over the thing. So when you're buying this used, make sure this piece is here, because there's a good chance it won't be, because it's effectively the same quality as one of those free mouse pads you'd get somewhere. And of course these containers with the Pog logo on them. So give me 1 second to zoom in and we'll get a look at the Pogs and the rule book. Okay, so here's our rule book. It's a real easy game. They're just old milk caps and you stack them up and slam them. It's pretty straightforward. But it's got a lot of illustrations, and it was a fun game for kids to collect and play for a little while. Then the fad died out pretty quick. There's rules for Pog baseball. Of course, your traditional rules, stuff like that. So, it's not a terribly exciting game, let's be honest. But for a little kid, it was okay. But the fad went away real quick, like I said. So here's the back of the official Pogs. These are the ones I know came with this. I think this other one did too. Yeah. Yeah, this style came with it too. So now I've got a lot of extras here, so we might as well take a look at that. This is an official Pog. It's got the logo on the back, and it's got Yakko from the Animaniacs on it. It's kind of a glittery type, but that one wouldn't have come in here, I don't think. And this is another official one. This is a more generic, like jackrabbit looking thing, but it has the same design as this on the back. So then you've got like these. People would put staples in them to try and cheat a little bit. But yeah, so you get the different designs there, and you'd have like these would be generic ones that would cost you, you know, $1 or $2 for a whole bunch of them. They got states. Then you got here's the Animaniacs one. Here's that big piece of metal, which would have been probably considered cheating in a tournament because it is incredibly heavy. But somebody just took a circle of metal that they probably found in a metal shop somewhere or a factory, took a bunch of them and put the sticker on there, and instant winner, because you're gonna crush your enemies with that. But there were a lot of foil ones. The state ones are kind of neat. Here's some more of the official generic ones. These are definitely more like milk caps. They have the more classic look to them. Whereas these state ones are a little higher end with the foiling. And like there was even different design types that you could get. There's some more states. And different Animaniac ones that would have come in like blister packs or blind bags. And here's another big metal one. There's part of a price sticker on here. 99 cents. There's a markdown. There's some more that came with it. Another Animaniacs. So you kind of get the idea with these. There's a lot of different ones that you could get. Hundreds, if not thousands, of these things. Probably more than that, honestly. We're out. There were Power Ranger ones, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, at pretty much any cartoon or TV show that was aimed at children. Various superhero ones. I know Malibu Comics inserted a Pog, or whatever they were calling it. They inserted ones in their comics during a crossover event called Genesis. And then Star Trek had some they called Star Discs, I believe. We did an opening of some blisters of it in another episode, and they had their own little rules for theirs. So here's some more types. Here's another metal one. This one's black metal, and it's got a panda on it. And the metal ones were they're slammers that you would slam down on the stack usually. So whoever had this before me had a whole bunch of these things. But yeah, they were just silly little designs. Nothing too fancy in this one. I'm seeing mostly Animaniacs and states, so they must have got a state set. And these were actually pretty handy for this. I never played Pogs. I played it once or twice with some friends to show their kid how to play, but not my thing. Wasn't into it. I knew some adults that were into it though, and they spent a couple $100 doing it. And I know at least one business owner who heavily invested in being a national rep, and the whole thing collapsed on him right after he spent $5 or $6 grand on it. He was in for like 15 grand too. He had these things all over the place. I felt kind of bad for him too, because it just collapsed all at once. It just wasn't cool anymore. But it hit for a few months and then just kind of vanished. So yeah, all these would have generic looking 50s retro types that look like they'd be in Fallout. They're actually the more vintage style that you would have seen because they were based around the actual milk caps. And they definitely have a distinct feel too. The cardboard is different. It's very cheap kind of cardboard with no coating on it, just the printing. And most of these have a staple through them. I don't remember them all having that, but maybe they did. But these are a different type of cardboard entirely. This is a sturdier cardboard. It's glossy, as you can see, and the printing on it's different. But these are definitely more like original milk caps from like the 50s. So the stylistic difference actually would make a difference when you played the game. So yeah, that's kind of what you can expect to find. Like I said, there's 48 authentic classic Pogs, and then 48 designer Pog milk caps. So that would have been these styles. So yeah, overall, it's a weird piece of history from the 90s. It's a simple game. If you have real little kids and you see a copy of this, go ahead and pick it up. I mean, they might enjoy it. I mean, what kid doesn't like slamming stuff on the ground? And there's not much to break. At best, you're going to lose a few of them to damage or pets or under the sofa or something like that. But it's a pretty unintimidating game. If you get this version of it, the Pogs are all pretty straightforward, nothing offensive. There were some that were a little more adultish, but I never remember seeing anything that I would call offensive for a kid. It was definitely a kid-oriented game. So yeah, there's not much to it. It's a simplistic game that little kids would really like for a little while. It's probably not something you're going to play very often, but if you see it cheap and you have little kids or you're real into nostalgia stuff from the 90s, it might be cool for that. But I think it's kind of a silly game that really was just a fad of its time. And if you're not interested in weird trends from the 90s or the 50s for that matter, this probably isn't going to be for you. But it definitely has its unique place in the boom of the 90s, the gaming boom, because this came out around the same time as like Magic the Gathering and some of the other games. So parents were having to choose what to buy their kid, and sometimes you just didn't know. So yeah, that is what is inside the official Pog the Game from Pog Federation. The World Pog Federation, correction. This was put out by Milton Bradley, like I said, in '94. And that's going to do it for this one. Overall, I think this is kind of a weird timepiece. Most people aren't going to appreciate it for the fad that it was. It really did have a lot of people buying a lot of these things. They weren't Pokemon level crazy, but it got there for a little while. So if you're into retro stuff, this is definitely something worth looking at. But that'll do it for this one. As always, thanks for watching and supporting the channel, and we hope to see you on the next episode of What's Inside.